Welcome to our daily Forex market analysis call, and this is in preparation for trading on January 25, 2017. Just a quick disclaimer before we get started. This is for educational purposes only. Trading is a risky business, so please be careful with your money. All right, so we will start off by taking a look at our Forex Factory calendar here. In terms of the news today, we have some PMI numbers coming out of the Eurozone, and then average earnings index for the British pound here. And in terms of the US data, it was all negative, but we had the World Economic Forum annual meetings going on. So there were a lot of comments between yesterday and today. There were a lot of comments out of different officials, Brexit and EU officials, and we had US folks talking in there as well. So there were a lot of comments, so that kind of created volatility for the market. Now those will be done. Coming up on Thursday, here, we have a couple of big things. So this is the euro. That's the biggest one. We have a minimum bid rate at this point. They're not looking at increasing the interest rates or raising the rates. However, what we'll be looking for in their press conference would be how ECB feels about the monetary policy. I think of last week, a couple of weeks ago, they had kind of started throwing comments around about providing forward guidance on interest rates. So right now they are tightening monetary policy, but they're not raising rates. So we'll have to see if they're going to start doing that in the future, or they will provide any guidance as to what ECB's stance is in regards to the monetary policy. So any comments around the Eurozone data coming out positive, the economy doing well, and things looking up, future forecasts being positive, all of those will be considered positive, and they start talking about the asset purchase program. If they start reducing the number of securities they're buying, all of that, those will be positive for the currency. So euro can go up on any of those positive comments. So that's really what we're looking for. And then Canadian dollar, we have core retail sales. Actually, looks like we still have the annual meetings, World Economic Forum annual meeting. So we will have to be careful in the London session there as well. So that's that. And then we have trade balance, unemployment claims here, retail sales for Canada, new home sales for the US. So a lot of it is secondary data, so this will be the main one. So let's go on to our chart. Oh, I was just taking a look at Aussie Swiss franc. This was the trade that we were in, and it was just really unfortunate here. Just got nicked out of my, nicked my stop loss, and then it just dropped where I was expecting it to go. That was a little bit unfortunate because I was looking for price to go right over here, come and test this level, and instead what it did was tested this previous level right here. So I think my stop could have been a little bit wider, but such is trading. So let's go take a look at what our projections are for the coming day here. Okay, so Euro US dollar, we saw a big break to the upside. Now we have passed this resistance level, this previous high, and next we are. So tomorrow will be interesting for the euro because ECB is going to drive what happens. But in the meantime, in terms of our target, we could look at this level here, so about 1.2500. So right now, euro is very bullish, looking quite bullish here. The next target will be 1.2500. And the type of move that we can look for is this. So this will be the best type of move we're looking for. So looking for a pullback into the previous resistance level and looking for that to turn into support. So looking for price to bounce off of that level to the upside. So the bias is to the upside still in the euro. So that's looking up. Pound here is very, very bullish. That went crazy today. And in terms of our levels here, I think we'll just have to pull back a little bit. Next level that we can look at would be in that area, which is 1.4360-ish level. So that will be our target to the upside, 1.43. So let's say 50 level. So in this case, that's a big move to the upside, and it will be good to get some pullback. So that's a huge move. So in terms of pullbacks, I think pivot point is a good level for a pullback. So coming into the pivot point and then go from there. Ideally, I would like to see the same thing all the way back here, but that's a really, really strong move to the upside. So I'm not sure if it will get all the way to S1. This is the move I would like to see, price dropping into 140.61 and then taking off to the upside, but I don't think that's likely at this point. So I think the scenario we could look for is this move to the upside. So looking for another bullish move here, but looking for a pullback into the pivot point, which is at 1.4163 level, or even 1.4150 level as a pullback level, and then looking for further move to the upside. So bullish for pound as well. Aussie here, quite bullish, and the next target is to the upside. So really what we're seeing is US dollar weakness. It's not really a function of other currencies getting stronger. It's just the US dollar has been so weak that everything else is going up against it at this point. So Aussie here, it's bullish as well. We have broken above this previous high, so looking for price to move up higher. 81.20 is the next target to the upside, and we could get either pull back into this where it is currently, and it could go take off from there, or it could come, which is also our pivot point. So that's a good level for a pullback, or it could come back for a deeper pullback into this 0.8020 level. So we could look for price to come down like this and then take off. So those are the two levels I would be watching, 80.20. And then the second level for pullback will be this high, which is where the price had reacted, 80.30 level. So those are the two potential levels for a pullback, but overall the daily bias is to the upside. New Zealand dollar here is actually weak today. We saw a big move to the upside, and this is a huge pin bar here. So we saw price come and test the level, high level here, and then this one is bearish. So looking for price to drop and looking for this area, so 73.65 area as a pullback area for a drop and the next move to the downside here. So bias for New Zealand dollar is bearish, and the target for this one would be 72.66 area, bottom of this pin here. And if it gets quite strong, it could be 72.50 area. So those are the levels that I'm looking for, but New Zealand dollar here looks bearish for now. Dollar CAD here had a strong day. We saw a break to the downside, and the next target here is to the downside. The market direction that I'm looking for is bearish, and the bias is bearish here. And in this case, we could get a pullback into this level. So a couple of different pullback levels that I'll be watching for this one here as well. So the first pullback level would be 1.2360, so about 65 level. Second one would be 1.2380 level, which is back here. So in this case, we could get something like this, which is also our pivot point, and then drop, or for a deeper pullback, something like this. but the bias is to the downside, and I'm looking for a further drop for this one. Euro Swiss franc here, we were looking for a drop and a test. Here it tested the trend line. So the bias here is to the downside, but we are at the trend line as well. So we'll have to see what price does here. So this is bearish, but we have this trend line bounce, which could make things a little more complicated. So what we could get here, so we need to see whether the trend line breaks or not. So we could get one of these pullbacks and then a retest of the trend line, and then we are still in the upward momentum here because it's going to the upside, and then it could do one of these. So this one we'll have to be careful about. So I'm looking for price to pull back into 1.1750 level and then drop from there. So 1.1750 would be a good level to look at for a potential short, but only going into this level here, which is our trend line, and there we could see a bounce. So I would be cautious when price gets to the trend line. The bias is to the downside though. Pound Swiss franc, on the other hand, looked quite bullish because we had pound dollar just take off like crazy. So here what we have, and one of the reasons that happened was because there were a lot of comments around Brexit. They were talking about how, excuse me, they are trying to negotiate how the Brexit, and that they would actually have free access to the European market, or they will have access to the European market. Actually, it probably won't be free, but they will have access to the European market like they do now, which is very positive for UK because they will still be able to export stuff. So that's what they mentioned multiple times, and that's why British pound took off. So right now, though, we are bullish, but we are into resistance. So in this one, we would have to see a break of this level. And then we could look for a further move to the upside. The next target would be 1.3520 level. And beyond that, here we go. So those are the levels that we're looking at. So 1.3520 and then 1.3580 level. So in this case, to really be meaningful, we're looking for a break above and then price to take off. Excuse me. So this is a similar scenario that we have with euro, where if we take a look at euro here, see how price kind of broke through. But if we take a look at it, actually pound probably had a better one. So this is what we have. So pound broke through our level right here. So it broke through the high, went up, pulled back, and then took off to the upside. So this is the kind of scenario I would be looking for pound Swiss as well. We do need to see a clear break, pull back, and then a further move to the upside. So the move would be something like this, but we need to see this resistance coming and acting as support, and then this would be a good level to take a potential long. But that's if the price breaks to the upside. So we'll have to watch out for that. The bias is to the upside right now. Dollar Swiss franc here, this is craziness. Very, very big drop here. So ideally with such a big drop, I would look for a larger pullback, potentially into this previous level, but that may not happen because right now US dollar is just, it's taking a beating, but we are into a major support level here. As you can see, we were here in September 2017, and then we bounced off quite a ways from there before we dropped all the way. So right now, though, it is looking very bearish. And in this case, we could see a pullback into that level. So we could see a pullback into 94.80 level, and then a further drop. So first target would be 94.20. And then beyond that, let's go zoom out a bit. So we haven't been at these levels in quite some time. Let's see. So 92.80, I think this would be a good level. So we have all the way here. So 93.20. That looks like a good level. So I'm looking for price to basically pull back, then come back into 94.20, and then it could drop all the way to 93.20, but it could get stuck at this 93.80 or 93.50 level. But the bias is to the downside for dollar Swiss franc. Pound CAD here, we did have pin bar here, but that totally did not play out as expected because pound broke out to the upside. So in this case, this is looking very bullish again. So we're looking for price to move up further. In this case, the target would be, oh, we're already there. So target would be 96.97. So 1.7700 would be the target to the upside. So looking for price to pull back into the previous support level, resistance level turning support, and then looking for price to go up higher. So this is looking quite bullish. All the pound crosses are looking very bullish. Pound yen, same story. We did close up high here, and we haven't been at these levels in quite some time. So let's take a look at. So the bias is bullish. As we can see, it's broken above this previous high where it was stuck for 3 weeks. Now it's broken to the upside. So we're looking for price to go higher. So this is looking bullish. So that's where we are. So we are at 155.50, looking to go to 157.50-ish level. And before that, we could likely come into resistance at 156.20. So those are the two levels to the upside, 156.20, and then above that, 157.50. So bullish on pound yen. Euro yen here, we did see, like we were expecting price to drop, it dropped into this previous support. So we were in a bit of a range bound market here. So it's bounced off of this level. And we have a long, big pin here. So this gives, this shows rejection. So those buyers have stepped in. So now I'm looking for price to go higher back towards the top of the range. Now we do have ECB. So that would play a role. So this is the kind of move that I'm looking for, price to come down to maybe 135 level and then find support at this previous level and then bounce off of that to back towards the middle of the range. So this is still range bound, so looking for price to come down and then bounce off to the upside back towards the middle of the range. Aussie yen is finding support here. So this is where we are. It looks like it wants to kind of push off from here. It is, the bias is to the downside though, but we are into support. So I would be cautious with this one. Based on the candle close, I would be looking for another level to the downside, 87.20 level. But if it gets stuck here and it's not able to break this 87.80 level, then it could just go up higher. But the bias for Aussie yen is to the downside. Dollar yen here, bias is definitely to the downside here. We are looking for a further move to the downside. So here I would be looking for price to push back like that and then do a drop, because we have a nice pin right over here providing us resistance, so support turning into resistance here and a drop from there. So target would be 108.60 level, which is the bottom of these pins here. So the bias is to the downside. And then last one, CAD yen, the bias is to the downside. Next target would be 88.00. So downward bias for this one at the moment. All right, so that's all I have. Any questions or comments, anything to add? Okay, if not, we will call it a wrap. So I will see you guys in the London session again. Okay, good night for now. Bye.